The following exchanges are based on actual events. No. Really.
Welcome to Comrade Co.'s annual employee meeting. We've got many subjects to go over today. First of all, there are quite a few people here, so I am going to ask that everybody remain as quiet as possible in order to honor each comrade's time to speak. Thank you all so much. We're going to start with something simple to get everyone used to the new processes. We're going to start with one of the smaller motions. There is a motion to change the brand of coffee in the break room.
I really wish I was back in my dorm playing games.
All right, guys, please respect your comrades. We need to keep it as quiet as possible so that everyone can be heard. Yes, Joaquin.
Joaquin, he, him, point of personal privilege. Before we get really deep into this, I'm going to ask that everyone use jazz hands instead of applause. Loud noises really trigger my anxiety, so I would appreciate it very much. Also, could you please keep from whispering? That is a clear microaggression.
Guys, I don't think it's too much to ask, all right? Great, better. So let's move on to... Yes?
Flavia? She, her? I think it's important to point out that there is a quiet room with the TV for our disabled comrades. The sound is off, and there is closed captioning for anyone who needs to isolate themselves but still want to participate. Please remember to keep the lights off for those with photosensitivity.
Oh, yes, thank you. That is a great reminder, Flavia. Also, when you enter the quiet room, please do not give off an aggressive scent. We do not want to trigger our comrades who have olfactory sensitivity. Speaking of which, this time we set up a third separation room for those with conflicting comfort animals. We want to be every bit as sensitive to Comrade Jillian's service pony as we are to Comrade Gregory's service mongoose. Thanks, guys.
Point of personal privilege. Patricia, they, them. Please, stop using gender-based language. Can't you see how triggering it is?
What do you mean?
You keep saying guys. Do I look like a guy to you?
Look, I'm sorry, all right? Guys has always been a non-gendered word from where I come from. I really didn't mean to offend Comrade.
From where you come from? I've moved to vote out this xenophobic hack. Point of personal privilege. Bob Zerzong. If we're going to be talking about coffee, comrades, we must stray away from the word beans because it's deeply racist, the word wet because it's misogynistic, and the word strong because it's a dog whistle for Trump supporters.
Point of personal privilege.
Oh, boy.
2 hours later. No. Really.
All right. Seeing as how we have addressed all of the concerns of our comrades, it's time to move on to the actual coffee vote. Is there any discussion on moving from chock full of yuts to Starbucks?
Is it too late to nominate another brand of coffee?
Yes, Margot. As you may recall, Starbucks won the Comrade Taste Test. So let's move forward. Please submit your vote to the website on the screen using your phone.
Sorry to have to say this. The website crashed.
Of course it did.
I motion that we simply take a head count vote.
Okay. Can I have 10 volunteers to count votes? 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Thanks. Now, I just need you to raise your hands. When the volunteer nods at you, you may then put your hand down.
45 more minutes later. No, really.
All right. The votes are in, and here is the final count.
Point of order. Not everybody's votes were counted.
Oh, God.
I noticed that too. Several volunteers did not nod or make eye contact with their voting comrades. Also, point of personal privilege, please do not invoke false deities.
I move that we do a recount.
2 recounts and 2.5 hours later. No, really.
Alrighty then. The final count is in. Finally, the count is 522 for and 522 against. Are you freaking kidding me?
I move that we develop a means of breaking the tie.
It's just coffee. We have other more important things to vote on. Let's just keep it as it is. Chock full of yuts is cheaper anyway.
Who died and made you emperor?
Oh, for God's sake!
Stop yelling. You're setting off my anxiety. Hail the flying spaghetti monster.
Oh, screw you and your anxiety and your stupid meatball sky puppet, dude! Dude?
I asked you not to use gendered language.
Oh, clam it, Patrick.
Patrick? I told you to never.
Oh my God, Patrick, I mean Patricia. My cat's breath smells like cat food. What are we gonna do? God, what are we gonna do? This happens every time. Screw it. I'm gonna vote for Trump. This literally happens every time.
And this is why we can't have nice things. No, really.
Welcome to CounterCultureWISE, a Stormcap production. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the hosts, our guests, and the dog, and do not necessarily reflect the views of any of our platforms, our advertisers, or any other dog.
As you listen today, please remember, we are so much more than a podcast. All of our stories we discuss are linked in our show notes on CounterCultureWISE.com. Visit there for commentary, guest photos and links, animations, and fun merchandise.
If you have a story idea or would like to be a guest on our show, contact us via our website. You can also follow us on Twitter, Gab, Instagram, Facebook, and all over social media, where we'll post memes, cat pics, and commentary that gets us booted off on a regular basis.
If you're listening live, be sure to join our chat on Spreaker. If you're listening dead, please stop voting Democrat, but enjoy the show anyway. And a fine howdy doody to you this evening. Welcome to CounterCultureWISE. It's an amazing, fantastic, gorgeous, hot day today. But we have a lot to talk about, a lot to have fun about, and as you can see from our thumbnail, we have a double rant.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I am your hostess with the mostest, Ms. Melanie Hope, and here with me in the slightly cooled down...
Thanks to some work we did before the show.
Thanks to some construction work that we did this afternoon, the slightly cooled down CounterCultureWISE studio is my best friend, happens to be my husband, also my co-host, former Marine. Wait, we're not allowed to say former. Always
no,
a Marine.
former Marine is
okay?
acceptable, yeah.
Okay, so not ex-Marine, but former
Yeah,
Marine.
you don't want to use that
Doesn't
term.
mean the same dang thing. Anyways, and...
There's an explanation.
And my sweet baboo, Mr. James Monis.
Just a quick update. There was a kidnapping at school. He woke up. Hi, everybody.
That was so funny, I forgot to laugh.
Yep. That tends to be the case with a lot of jokes of mine. Welcome to CounterCultureWISE. I am the sweet baboo, and that was my wife, Melanie. And we are here to talk about many, many things. We each have a rant tonight. We have Chuck arriving, and we have lots of stories to tell, like always. And we love you guys for tuning in, and thank you so much. And by the way, if you're within the sound of my voice, drop everything. And please visit our website and go to our shop, buy some stuff, subscribe. We have some, we're not going to discuss it tonight, I don't think, but we got some serious goodies coming up and some really cool things that will be coming out for people who want to become members.
Yes.
But we will discuss that soon.
We've been doing lots of things in the background, and we're about to launch not only another channel that has all of we've been uploading the backlog archives of Counterculture Cats. So that would be Max's interviews, Fritzy on the Street,
She's So
Poetry
Fritzy,
Corner,
other stuff,
She's
yeah.
So Fritzy, all of that. Once our channel got tanked, we decided, okay, we're going to branch out and put different things on different channels.
See what's working.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah.
So we've already got our, holy crap, this is actually happening. We're probably going to be differentiating on Rumble and BitChute as well. Right now, everything just kind of getting thrown in one place. So pay attention because these things are happening. But if you want to get them early and sometimes get a little something extra special that nobody else gets, head on over to our locals. And all the links will be in the descriptions of wherever we stick these things. And join our locals, and you'll get lots of freebies and some extra bits and bops here and there. For
We got some cool stuff in store.
practically nothing. Just
Yeah.
practically nothing. So totally worth it.
Well,
And buy our crap.
and buy our crap. We have
But
some.
you can always tip us. You can always head over to CounterCultureWISE.com and send us a tip.
That's true.
And we do every now and then get tips, but we want the monetary kind, not the, hey, you look like a bozo type tips, because we
Yeah.
get those
We
every
get
day,
those, and
all the time.
we don't mind constructive criticism as long as it is truly constructive. But we're
Construction, like what we did today to the windows to try to make it less than a bajillion degrees in here.
Now we got a friend of ours sent Melanie a video
TikTok of all
TikTok of all
godforsaken
things, and
gave us an
it-
idea, and we ran with it, and it is making a difference.
it's making the difference. It's actually bearable in here.
Yeah, 'cause it
And
has
hope,
been
plus since we did this in the middle of the afternoon, it's hard to say how much of a difference it'll make tomorrow when it starts cool and gets hot again.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah. But if you want to donate to the air-conditioned CounterCultureWISE rental studio fund, feel free to do so, since the landlords do not think that it's necessary. Remember, we're deep in the heart of Texas, where it is a nice balmy 93 degrees at 8 o'clock at night. With what is it, like 85% humidity?
Yeah,
You gotta love
like
it here.
you're sweating buckets when you go out there.
And the bugs are like, let us in, it's terrible out here.
And the sun burns your face after 3 minutes. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, Jim looked like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer looking up at the sky because his noggin was so bright red.
And I wasn't out that long either.
No, and that was on the 4th. Well, folks, like I said, we've got lots of things to talk about. I don't know if I want to start the show with ranting.
We can save the rant for later in the show.
Mine's going to alienate a lot of people. This is something I've been thinking about for a long time. I'm not the first person to have this to say. It's just every now and then.
It's been on her heart and on her mind for a while, so it's going to be.
This political climate is ridiculous, and
and nothing
seriously.
seems to be happening to make it any better.
And nothing will, because it's run by a bunch of geezers who need to let go
Well,
already.
don't
Don't
start unless you're going to finish.
All right, so you want to start off with some news of the weird and wonderful, or did you have anything else you wanted to talk about before we jump in? Because
Just that
we have a show.
My wife got me a pair of
Yeah.
cowboy boots.
Jim
I'm
is
officially a
officially
Texan now.
He's got a hat and the boots.
And we got lucky. There's a really nice guy who runs a Western wear store in the city near ours. We know what it is, folks.
He's even older than Biden.
He's even older than Biden. He's retiring, and he's closing the shop. And I got these Laredo boots that are leather and blue denim colored, and blue and brown, and they're absolutely gorgeous. And they were
denim color. It's a darker blue than that, but they're really nice.
they're beautiful, and I got them for roughly half the cost that they ordinarily would
We got
be.
a screaming deal, and the fact that we actually found a pair that fits.
Yeah, because I wear 9
Jim's
wides.
little hobbit feet.
So yeah, it's not easy to find shoes outside of Walmart. Other
See, not
than,
an issue for me,
yeah.
finding shoes.
Well, yeah, that's
it's
true.
not even a problem.
Yeah. Still, she's more of a cowgirl than I am a cowboy.
Well,
I haven't ridden a horse since 1980-something. So.
Well, yeah, it's been a while for me, too. Last time I got on a horse,
should
it turned
probably
around and
do
looked
that,
at me
so
and
at
said,
least-
really?
Yeah.
Horses don't like fat people. I don't blame them. Speaking of horses, what a sermon today. I don't know if anybody from
Indeed.
our church listens, but wow, what a sermon today.
Yeah,
We got a little of cowboy fire and brimstone.
Yeah, he did. I mean, the initial message was he's concentrating on the Beatitudes for the next several weeks, and blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. And I always misinterpreted it, or
Me
it didn't,
too.
or let me put it more accurately. I didn't interpret it the way that our pastor interpreted it, and
Well, he went back to the original
yeah, he went back to the original Greek. Yeah.
term meek, which means those who submit.
Mm-hmm.
And it was specifically aimed at, because we go to a cowboy church, but in those terms, specifically aimed at horses that willingly submit to the bridle. Because they don't have to. I mean, and he told us a story of how, he was, as he says, taking the horse for a test drive, and this particular horse got its head. And anybody who's familiar with anything equestrian knows that if the horse decides it wants to do what it wants to do,
It will do what it
will
wants
do
to
what
do.
it wants to do. So
And take you along if you
whether
can
you
hold
want
on.
to go or not.
You can
So,
hold on. That's
you have to have skills to turn the horse. That if it gets its head, that means it's in control, and it will do what it wants to do. And I have been on a horse that's done that more than once, and tries to play the knockoff game, and I have been knocked off more than once. So it's interesting that you don't think about that as, because they talk about a horse getting broke. You broke the horse, which a lot of people think means you broke its spirit, or now it's a docile. But no, at some point the horse actually decides that it's going to let you ride it and put a bit in its mouth. And I don't know, it was a really interesting take. I'd never thought of it that way. And that's what Christians, that's why non-Christians really struggle with the concept, because they don't like the idea of willingly succumbing.
a lot of Christians don't want to either. To be
Yeah.
fair, it's just
That's true, and we're very headstrong.
yeah.
That's what Islam, the word Islam actually means is, I can't think of the word. It's not succumb. Submit.
Submit.
And that is a big part of Christian, and even in Jewish in a lot of ways. And of course, Islam was built on those two religions. It's a lot of people think that Islam was this ancient religion. No, it was
Not
it was
doesn't.
fabricated after both. Fabricated, come at me, but it was after the fact. Christians already existed, and Jews, of course, had long existed, and they considered themselves people of the book. And I could go into detail, but I'm not going to.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
It's not some ancient Eastern religion. No, it's just a made-up religion after the fact. But the concept is that you have to willingly submit to a higher power, and a lot of atheists don't like that idea. They don't like that idea at all, and like you said, a lot of Christians don't like that idea. We want to do it ourselves. It's tough, and it's when you're able to do it, and I'm gonna raise my hand and say I'm one of those people who really struggle with it myself. It does lend you some peace,
Mm-hmm.
but it goes against our human nature. So that's why it's such a
He
hard thing to
also,
do.
for a rare occasion, went fire and brimstone about social media and
Get your kids off of social media.
get
and I
the
agree.
kids off, and lots of other things that made a lot of us uncomfortable, but it doesn't make it untrue, right? So
Right. It doesn't make it untrue. When the truth is hard, that doesn't necessarily mean that it is not the truth.
right. In fact, more often than not, it is the truth. So
Yeah.
let's talk some truth here. Let's get into news of weird and wonderful.
All right, let's get into some weird and wonderful.
CounterCultureWISE is proud to present News of the Weird and Wonderful. Here are your hosts, Melanie Hope and Jim Monis.
All right, Jimmy, I think you'll like this one.
I think I'll like it too.
Speaking of social media and limiting your children.
Oh wow, yeah.
That was a nice segue, and you didn't even
I
know
didn't
what you were
even
doing.
plan it.
Yeah, people
Let's
would
go
think that
ape.
we're like professionals or something.
The Toronto Zoo is advising its visitors to avoid showing videos and photos on their cell phones to its gorillas as they distract the apes, just like they distract people.
Mm-hmm.
We just want the gorillas to be able to be gorillas, Holly Ross, behavioral husbandry supervisor at the zoo, said in an interview with CP24 on Thursday. When our guests come to the zoo, we want them to be able to see gorillas in a very natural state and what they would be doing naturally, to sort of connect with them on that level. The zoo has posted signs at its gorilla enclosure to remind guests not to show videos or photos to its primates, as some content can be upsetting and affect their relationships and behavior within their family, just like people. Ross said one of the gorillas, Nasir, has become enthralled with videos visitors are showing him. The Toronto Zoo's website says Nasir was born in September 2009 and describes him as the epitome of a teenager who is fascinated by videos and screen time would dominate his life if he had his way.
And probably, like teenagers, prefers videos of himself.
While the gorilla's fascination with videos is primarily out of curiosity, the zoo wants to ensure that it does not become an issue, Ross said, adding that they have not observed any significant behavioral changes so far. We don't really want our guests coming and showing them videos. We'd rather have them see them do gorilla things.
Hand raise.
You over there in the corner.
Has it ever occurred to you in your entire life, and we actually have a membership to a zoo, to show the animals videos on your phone? It's never even crossed my mind.
I'm the one with the camera shooting photos.
Yeah.
Usually. I mean, I stopped doing it because, how many photos of an elephant do you really need? But
depends on how they're posing.
yeah. But I still... Oh, okay, I got that. It took a moment to land. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know why people would waste their time. But it's the same reason people would rather video the concert on their phone than actually just sit back and enjoy the music.
To the point where I don't even bring my phone to things like that because I want to enjoy it. I think
Well,
people forgot how to enjoy the
some
moment.
bands are saying, that they have somebody out there collecting your phone and putting them in boxes or bags and leaving them behind when you go into the concert.
That's a little over the top, but at the same time,
I understand.
I want to play to people, not to screens, so I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, Nasir in particular is really interested in seeing different videos. I think mostly he was seeing videos of
Our
other
chat
animals.
says they like showing the monkeys porn. Good job, chat.
Hey, we're the perverts. But I think what is really important is able to just hang out with his brother and be a gorilla. I think that's a photo of him.
I
He's
think
a
monkeys would
handsome
actually show
man,
you
handsome
some
young
porn.
man there.
The ape? Oh, he is. He's got a nice pointy head. I hear that's very attractive among silverbacks.
A zoo in Chicago had to put up a rope line a few feet away from the glass partition of its gorilla enclosure to keep visitors from showing their phones, so one of the apes would become so distracted by the gadgets that officials started seeing behavioral changes.
Ruh-roh.
Guys, I know it's too much. It's way too late in American history to ask you to use common sense, but come on,
Way too late
gang.
in American history for common sense.
Yeah, it's way too late. We're done. But,
I think that says it all.
Anyway, that wasn't supposed to be why we can't have nice things. But anyway, it's...
I just thought it was funny. And I stumbled
Old
upon
people
that.
like to have fun, too, as you can tell by the
Yes.
next story.
This lady's after my own heart. Actually, we're not that far away from each other. Well, okay, we're a ways. Massachusetts. A woman in Massachusetts. Thanks for repeating. Yeah, I love it when they do that. Anyway, start over. A woman in Massachusetts decided to buy herself something she's always wanted for her 97th birthday. A top-of-the-line John Deere tractor. God bless her. Well, most people in an older age sometimes spend more time in the house and start to slow things down a bit. That couldn't be further from the truth for Marie Erickson. She likes to take her tractor out for fun. She looks like a very young 97.
She's going to last a while longer.
Yeah, she's doing way better than the
Yeah, we know.
leaflet in chief, yeah.
I'm on that tractor every day, Erickson said. Whether the grass needs cutting or not, I just go around and check, and when I see it, I cut it. Her home sits on a beautiful 2.5 acres of land. It keeps me busy, Erickson said, explaining she doesn't like to do housework. Even before her husband died, the 4-foot 8-inch firecracker always had a love of landscaping. I had a push mower, but I was a younger girl. I could push that, but now forget it, she joked. I can't imagine you with a push mower. Yikes.
I was actually considering getting one, which
Not
would have
for
been a
this yard.
huge mistake.
Yeah, not for this yard.
I would have
He
been
wants a riding mower now.
Nah.
She saved her money for over a year so she could treat herself to a new John Deere tractor with power steering. I said, I think I'm worth it, Erickson said.
You are,
I'm not
lady.
going to take the money with me. I'm going to spend it. You go, girl. She took a trip to the dealership in Massachusetts in May and bought the tractor in cash. It would be with cash, but okay. Some of the salespeople were curious why someone her age wanted a John Deere, so Erickson explained that although she doesn't drive a car anymore, this was the next best thing. And here in Texas, you can drive your John Deere any darn where. You see them on the street all the time.
Yep.
Since the purchase, Erickson has been taking her tractor out for a daily dose of relaxation. As she inches closer to 100, she said it's been quite a ride, and you're never too old to take out your toys. Nicely done.
Living the life. At 97. Wow.
Yeah, I hope I'm not spry at 97. That's a good-looking lady.
I'd be that happy to be that spry at 70.
Well,
Anyway.
I'd be that spry now. There are
There's that.
days.
All right.
Okay, I'm still on the side of ick on this, but they're really
However-
trying to sell us.
However, there is something to be said for
Yeah.
it. I wouldn't eat it, but I can. But if it helps people like not starve, I'm cool. For cellular agriculture, minimizing the necessity for animal biopsies, stem cells offer a potentially endless source for cultured meat. For cellular agriculture, a technique that grows meat in bioreactors to successfully feed millions, numerous technological hurdles must be conquered. The production of muscle cells from sources such as chicken, fish, cows, and more will need to increase to the point where millions of metric tons are yielded annually. Sounds like a tall order.
Mm-hmm.
Researchers at the Tufts University Center for Cellular Agriculture, or TUCA, have made strides towards this objective by developing immortalized bovine muscle stem cells, IBSCs. These cells possess a rapid growth rate and the ability to divide hundreds of times, potentially even indefinitely, furthering the potential for large-scale meat production. This advance, described in the journal ACS Synthetic Biology, means that researchers and companies around the globe can have access to and develop new products without having to source cells repeatedly from farm animal biopsies. The production of cell-cultured meat will require muscle and fat cells with a very high capacity to grow and divide. While cell-grown meat has garnered media attention, with examples such as the FDA preliminary approval of cultured chicken and even a hamburger grown with mastodon DNA. Hamburger grown in mastodon.
I'm curious about that one.
I'd try a mastodon burger.
Yeah, I'd try mastodon.
I mean, I'll go Fred Flintstone for a day. I don't
why
care.
not?
The products are
But,
still.
you're not going to be able to get ribs.
Well, I wouldn't want the car to tip over. Someday, maybe Fred will win the fight. Anyway, the products are still expensive and difficult to scale up.
Oh, Fred.
Hey, Fred. Normal muscle stem cells drawn from live animals to start a culture typically divide only about 50 times before they start to get old and are no longer valuable. While it is theoretically possible for these stem cells to produce a substantial amount of meat, the immortalized cells developed by the TUCA team offer several advantages. One is the possibility of producing significantly more mass from meat production. What do you think?
This is still really, really, really experimental.
Early stages.
Yeah.
But that would end potentially, as long as it wound up in the right hands, it could end meat shortages.
Yeah. Well, we shouldn't have any food shortages at all. There's plenty of food in the world to feed people. It's the governments that
Get in the way.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's really interesting. This goes on for a long time.
Yeah,
It's very long,
I've
if you're
decided
interested.
I'm not going to ramble on.
We archive all of our links,
Yeah.
and you can find them on CounterCultureWISE.com. Okay, this one's fun. Oh, I should
More
have had you
beef.
read this one.
More burgers.
Yeah, more burgers.
More
This
burgers.
one's fun.
Okay.
I want to try this, actually. Another fragrant, hazy phenomena is turning heads in the United States. Only this time, beer fans in Canada will happily take the blame. It's one of the newest IPA offerings from G5 Brewing Company in Beloit, a southern Wisconsin community of about 36,500 people, an hour's drive southwest of Milwaukee, a city synonymous with suds. Nicely written. I like that alliteration. Very nice. Blame Canada. What else could they call it? Is an easy drinking session Indian pale ale inspired by the smoke-filled skies that were plaguing much of the U.S. Midwest and northeastern states earlier in the summer. Funny. They have to be South Park fans.
Mm-hmm.
It was the product of a collaboration with fellow Wisconsin brewers Rocky Beef.
Rocky Reef.
Why did I say beef? Probably because
there's burgers
Rocky-
in the...
Rocky Reef. Rocky Reef. Yeah, I know. I was thinking burgers too. A partnership that happens to come together in mid-June when the wildfire smoke was at its worst, said Tim Doris, G5's head brewer. You know, you could change that guy's profession simply by where you put the emphasis. He's the head brewer or he's the head brewer.
True.
Yeah.
True.
When you have a business that is cyclical like that, you don't want your patrons to be outside because of air quality, so it does hurt business a little bit. Naturally, that's when the conversation turned to 1999 South Park the movie.
Love
Yay!
that flick.
I was right. And that now anthemic song and dance number, Blame Canada, Blame Canada, a riff on the show's tongue-in-cheek fondness for making fun of Canadians. We're going to hold on to it for a week, but it was just dumb luck timing that the wildfire haze came back, he said. We got to the point when we kegged this beer up, it was pretty awful outside. We were like, it's too coincidental. We can't hold on to this beer, so we released it. That's when it caught on like proverbial wildfire. Out of 12 available options on tap, it's our number 3 bestseller right now.
Nice
and it
job.
hasn't even had a full month of sales. Hey, good job. Even the label on the can is one many Canadians could get behind. A red silhouette of the familiar Toronto skyline in flames with a Smoky Mountain Range and wild maple leaf emblem in the background. If the beer alone isn't enough, patio patrons can pair it with G5's latest burger of the week, Canadian Wildfire, a ground ribeye burger made with spicy maple syrup,
Oh,
the
my.
requisite back bacon, jalapenos, and pepper jack cheese. We are going to make that in this house.
Or we're going to Milwaukee. I don't care.
No desire to go to Milwaukee, just absolutely none at all. If you have an IPA or a hoppier beer, ours aren't like crazy hoppy. That will help cut some of the spice out of the burger, so they actually ended up pairing really well together. All right, so they go on more to talk about the smoke, a little bit more, but I thought that was hilarious.
That's great.
Blame Canada.
That's a really cool label, too.
It is. Whoever did it did a
They
really
did a
good
great job. Real good job.
I appreciate a good design.
Way to go, G5.
All
All right.
right.
Well, the
Well,
world has obviously turned on its ear.
It's gone
Something
insane.
has gone horribly awry.
Yeah, I'm not buying this for a second.
Well, we haven't. To be fair, we haven't been there in 13 years. Last time I visited was 10 years ago. For the
But I still have
the movie
friends who
premiere.
live there, and I think they would beg to differ. But you do have to remember, Killeen was listed as the number
Yeah,
one most livable
yeah.
city in Texas.
One of the top 10 cities to live in Texas. Baloney. It is the festering crotch rot of Texas. No, I'm serious. It's
With
awful.
extra sand fleas.
Yeah, perfect. Anyway, and I love this city, by the way. I really genuinely love this
Yeah.
city, but
It
Top
had.
five?
I mean, I went to college there.
I mean, the
house.
downtown area is nice. But anyway, what
house
city are
there.
you talking about, Monas? Tacoma,
I
Washington
went
was
from
listed as
Phoenix,
one of the
Arizona, all the way to
Tacoma, I haven't been to Philadelphia, so I can't sing the song. I've been to all the other places:
Look at DMCA. Let's see. I've been to Phoenix.
Arizona,
I've been to
Tacoma.
Tacoma.
I've been to Atlanta
I've
and
been to
LA.
I've been to every single one of those cities, so keep a rocking me,
Baby.
baby.
She's been to Northern California, where her fellow girls are warm. Anyway, Tacoma was
I
listed as...
had my toes in the sand and a drink in my hand.
Yowza.
All I needed. Okay, sorry.
Tacoma,
Off you go. Off you go.
still Tacoma, 20 minutes from now, Tacoma, was listed as one of the best places to live and move into, according to a study from Bankrate.com.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the U.S. News and World Report lying through their bloody, no longer being published because it's a total leftist rag, stupid magazine crap.
Okay.
I'm done.
Settle down now.
No,
Wait, it's all better. We don't live there anymore.
that's true. We live near Waco. The study,
Wacko.
the study book, yeah, I know. It just anyway. The study looked at criteria such as well-being, affordability, job market, diversity, and migration. Tacoma ranks third, beating out places like Alexandria, Virginia, Raleigh, North Carolina, and Oakland, California.
All terrible places that I have been, and I wouldn't want to live in any of them.
Oh, well. I mean, you also have to consider that you and I are not average Americans, that some people find a lot of what these cities have to offer as cool stuff. You know, just to be fair.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, not very many
Killeen
people
still
would,
sucks. But anyway, no matter
not very
what.
many people would revel in having bison in their front yard on any given day. So
That's true.
yeah, I guess we are a little different.
A little.
I'll give you that one.
The study was featured on the Today Show, which says Tacoma is a more appealing city for those looking to work in Seattle, since the cost of living is around 20% cheaper in Tacoma.
Hour, sometimes hour and a half
No,
commute.
But the thing is,
Blech.
the cost of living is 20% cheaper. But yeah, the commute is
Is-
on a good day, on a day with no traffic, 45 minutes easily. If you work like a normal
But there
human,
is no such thing as a day without traffic.
There's
in the
no day
Seattle,
like-
Tacoma area.
it's and
I mean,
I'm-
they do have the Sounder train, which is okay.
Yeah, Sound Transit's
But it's
Sound
pretty
Transit's a
limited.
good way to get. If you're going from downtown Tacoma to downtown Seattle, it's a decent
You
option.
still have to, go to the park and ride and park and then go to the thing. and
I,
then
I,
go to the
I never
train.
minded doing that when I needed to. It was okay.
I did it for a couple of years. And
Yeah, I didn't mind it at all.
Hated
The
it.
the Sound Train is nice.
yeah, the
Anyway.
train itself is nice.
The website also highlights the city's vibrant natural habitat. It's nice. Museum district,
It does have
excellent.
an amazing zoo.
And the Glass Museum and
Beautiful,
the Tacoma Art Museum, all that stuff, wonderful. And festivals, which continue to impress. It's come a long way in the last few decades, anyway.
Yeah.
The thing we do here all the time is when people get here, that especially if they're in the region, is they go, "Wow, I didn't know it was this good. This is really cool." Plus,
They really cleaned it up.
Stanley and
The
Seafort's
Hilltop
restaurant
area
too.
used to be like the gangsta, scary.
And now
nobody
now
would
it's
go there.
now it's gentrified.
Yeah, now it's gentrified.
Yeah, so-
Say what you will, but it really, really.
Anyway,
made the
I
place
would
better.
live in Tacoma or Everett or my
My
favorite.
only complaint is they closed the Skippers.
I don't know. Now the city is focused on preparing for growth, starting with building more housing and expanding it like real. They're running tests right now that might have been one of the test trains to open the whole other half of this thing that's getting ready to open in just a few days. That was a big investment. So they literally doubled the length of this, turn up the hilltop areas to serve more of that, to be prepared for that growth. And as the city transforms and grows on this slope, that's a critical piece. Tacoma Pierce County's Chamber of Commerce CEO Andrea Ray said in a statement, "The most important economic development resource any community has are the people who live and work there." Now, see, that would not have been refreshing to hear somebody say that in 1983. But for a representative of the city government, essentially, to say, "Yeah, our people rock,"
That is pretty cool.
and you won't find better people anywhere in the world than in Tacoma. Well, that was certainly the case when I was there.
And now that they don't have the paper plants anymore, it doesn't stink as much as it used to.
That's true. No, they did a wonderful job in the time.
Congratulations, Tacoma. That's nice to hear. Good for you.
But yeah, they did an amazing job in the downtown area during the time I lived in that area. Just rebuilding
Yeah,
it,
when I went to
opening the museums and everything.
I went to UWT. I love the Glass Museum, and the TAM, Tacoma Art Museum, I believe every Thursday, or it was like first Thursday or something like that, you got in free.
Yeah.
And so that was like a thing that when I worked down there, we would all do. We just walk over. It was awesome.
And by the way, if you are going to be in the area, spend less time in Seattle, spend more time in Tacoma. When you do, go to the Glass Museum.
Yeah.
That
the
is
waterfront, they've really built
so
that up.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, it really is a beautiful town.
It is.
It really
Yeah,
is.
they've done a lot with it. It's cool. I'm glad. It's nice to see something being cleaned
But
up.
yeah, I mean,
Seattle's going the other way.
The Tacoma, I remember from the early days that I lived in the area, it's very different now.
Well, from Canada to Tacoma, back to Canada again.
All right.
So this one, I put in the notes, what's with all the quotey marks? So every time they say the word deadheading and incapacitated, they put them in quote marks, and for the life of me, I don't know why. So just imagine air quotes every time I say incapacitating or deadheaded. It's like, why? What's with the quote marks? So an off-duty pilot stepped in to land an Air Canada flight after the first officer became incapacitated, officials said. Canada's Transportation Safety Board told Insider that the pilot on AC 692 from Toronto to St. John's in Labrador and Newfoundland. Okay, so are all of their cities named after dogs? We were just flying into Poodle when all of a sudden the pilot became incapacitated during the June 7th flight without elaborating. That was such a poorly written sentence. I'm sorry, I have to joke about it. In a statement, an official said, a deadheading captain assumed the crew member's duties and landed the aircraft without further incident. He could have just said, an off-duty captain took over. But no, we had to say all those other words. Emergency services were on. Thank God there was just like an extra pilot handy. I think every plane should just have like an extra pilot, just like, is there a doctor in the house? Is there a pilot in the house? There should always be a yes to those two answers. Emergency services were on hand when the plane landed as a precaution. In fact, we should start forming pairs, a doctor and a pilot, and they just like go everywhere together. So that anytime somebody yells, does anybody know how to fly this plane, or is there a doctor in the house, there's always like a pair of dudes that are like, yeah, I can do it. How many people's lives would be saved just by having a doctor and
the doctor could also sedate people who are causing a problem.
There you go. Just
See?
walk up and boink, and
Boink.
Crazy lady saying that the guy. Did you see that video of the crazy lady saying that the guy wasn't real and actually got off the plane and was totally freaked out because she said that the guy sitting next to her wasn't a real human?
No.
And nobody knows why. I mean, everybody's making fun of her and everything, and it didn't look like she was on drugs, but she was really spooked. And she's like, you guys can stay on the plane, I'm getting off. And she's all swearing and everything. And I don't know if it was staged or what, but... So the meme that went around is that she was sitting next to Zuckerberg. Because he really doesn't look like a human. Okay, the Transportation Safety Board representative told Insider the incident was treated as a Class 5 occurrence, which are minor incidents per its website. Off-duty pilots, or deadheads, often travel as passengers on flights and sometimes save the day. In 2019, a deadhead heading on vacation with his family flew an EasyJet plane when the pilot failed to turn up. And then they go on and they list a couple more. So Air Canada, of course, it didn't immediately respond. I still want to know what incapacitated means. I'm thinking the reason they keep putting it in quotes is because he was hitting the sauce.
Yeah.
What do you mean I can't fly the plane, officer? You don't want me to walk home in this
I mean, that joke goes back to Lenny Bruce, He did a whole routine about that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, he's funny. I haven't heard
Well,
in a long time.
he hasn't been around in a long time.
Hasn't been
He
around
died.
for a while, right?
He died 1 year after I was born.
Where's
so
his new stuff, man?
yeah, I know. They
What's
keep
he
going.
done
They
lately?
keep finding stuff he did in the vaults and releasing it, even though it's not as good as the official stuff. But anyway,
So he talked about drunk pilots?
yeah,
Was that a thing back then?
No, it was about one of the pilots just getting wasted. Man, I'm buzzed. I got too much going on.
Thank God we have an autopilot.
There's more to it than that. It's been a while since I've heard it, but I'll play it for you sometime.
All right. Hey, we're back to Tacoma. So
Yeah.
we went Canada,
Tacoma,
Tacoma, Canada,
Canada,
Tacoma.
Tacoma.
Look at us go.
So Congratulations to this old broad.
Madonna
Hannah
takes offense at you calling people broads, but all right.
Sorry.
Just say.
Madonna Hannah of Tacoma. I'm sorry. Congratulations to the old bat. Madonna Hannah of Tacoma returned from the... No, she's wonderful. I'm sure she's a great lady.
I'm sure she's a lovely girl.
Madonna Hannah of Tacoma returned from the 2023 National Senior Games in Pittsburgh with 3 new accolades. Hannah and her fellow 4x100-meter relay members placed first overall at the competition last weekend. Hannah ran the second leg of the relay. Her coach, Marcus Chambers, a Star Trek athlete out of Foss High School in Tacoma.
A Star Trek athlete?
And
does she...
Star Trek.
Oh, I was going to say, does she run and go...
Yeah, maybe whatever works. Athlete out of Foss High School in Tacoma and a 7-time All-American for Oregon,
wow,
was on hand for the big win. Hannah, 70, also placed 5th in the 50-meter and 100-meter finals, bringing in a new personal best. Her new PR in the 50 meters in 8.81 seconds, and she's 70.
Good for her.
Wow.
So we got tractor driving grannies and track running grannies. I think we have kind of a theme between Tacoma, Canada, and track tours.
Hannah of Tacoma, a former fashion executive and teacher, did not lace up her racing shoes until she was nearly 60 years old.
Wow.
This almost qualifies as a wonder fuller, but we have another one for later on. She always
this one
enjoyed.
Doesn't make anybody cry, so
yeah.
Quite.
All right.
You always got to make them cry.
She always enjoyed watching track events on TV, but her high school did not have a track team for girls. The love for running stayed with her. Hannah encourages everyone, no matter their age, to consider getting active. Consult with your healthcare professional, Hannah said, but don't count yourself out when it comes to setting athletic goals. She started competing in 2011 and hasn't looked back. Like any competitive athlete, Hannah has battled challenges along the way, just like my challenge to get this thing read. To learn more about Hannah and her journey, watch her interview with King 5 by clicking on the link, which will be on our website.
Yes. They give us a picture of like a bunch of people, and they don't tell us which one she is. Okay, there it is. Yeah, it's like they don't tell us which one it is. It's not the one I thought was 70. She does not look 70 at all. Alrighty. Well, that's all news of the weird and wonderful that we got. Are you ready to rant?
I'm ready to rant, but I really want you to help inspire me. So I want you to rant first. I mean, I don't care.
Isn't it as much fun when we set it up? I'll probably be doing an official recorded version of this later with video and all that, like I used to do back when I did the Ginger Snaps. Don't know if we have an audience for that, but we'll find out. So, yeah. Oh, but I do have an intro.
Violence and Nazis and income gaps. And when it gets too stupid, the Ginger Snaps.
I haven't gotten to play that in a long time.
It has been a while.
I just read a report that baby boomers, you know, the generation that is in control of nearly every aspect of our lives and just won't let go of their ill-gotten power, are the fattest, most divorced, most overeducated, and longest living cohort the world has ever faced. Now they are overtaxing senior homes, Social Security, and nearly every other resource as they claw closer to death, all while still not letting go of power. The over 70 are about to become nearly 24% of the global population, and we don't have the resources to care for all of your needs. You've had 70 years to fix this! And you still didn't even bother to try. I pre-snapped on that one.
Yeah.
I am just going to say it loud and very directly. It is time for boomers to step down. You had your chance. Let it go. Retire. Enjoy your naps. Let the next generation take over like you are supposed to have done decades ago. In fact, it won't even be the next generation. It'll be the next generation. One that you selfish, stupid, overbreeding boomers half created because you couldn't control yourself long enough to even allow us to give you grandkids. You had to give us siblings young enough to be our own kids and then spoil them as if they were your grandkids, so that we are stuck working with mindless infants who have never faced reality, but expect to get paid more than us straight out of the useless colleges that you also control. Our generation got completely blipped over. We don't even have a name. We didn't get politics, art, or academia. Twitter infants actually think that the last 3 combined generations are all boomers because half of them were born to 50-year-old wannabes on boatloads of hormones instead of actual responsible breeding age parents. Instead, you told us to not have children to save our planet that you got to party in until you nearly destroyed it entirely, and now we've got to clean up your mess, all while being blamed for it. Stop it already and step down. Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Lindsey Graham, L. Private Plane Gore, Joseph R. Gets Away with Being a Corrupt Kid Diddler Biden, and even President Donald Trump. I am sick of being lorded over by boomers who are too old and too senile to be in charge of anything outside of scheduling their pudding breaks. I don't want anyone in diapers raising my taxes, censoring my speech. I should censor my speech. And then arresting me when I try to do something about their corruption and incompetence, much less their incontinence. Now your new trend is to overcompensate for your nearsightedness and history of racism and sexism with diversity hires today. You boomers have actually managed to find an entire hiring pool full of freaks, morons, and groomers that are so incapable they actually make you boomers look good by default. This is our future? Gender-bending, school-skipping, mental midgets that want to police every aspect of our lives, down to what we eat, where we can live, and what pronouns we use when they aren't even present to hear them? Your parents ended 2 world wars. They built an amazing country, overcame the Great Depression, cured diseases, raised entire countries out of poverty, and all you've contributed is Z's and Zers? When all you selfish, wasteful, useless boomers finally die off in mass, and that's assuming you don't just download yourselves to AI and keep on keeping on, there's going to be a giant black hole, and you know who's going to feel it? Rainbow-haired freaks that can't even figure out what bathroom to use, much less how to run the world. We are completely surrounded by coddled, entitled narcissists, old and new, who don't give a flying monkey's patootie about anyone but themselves. You have destroyed the environment, the economy, and the Constitution. You've gotten rich and lazy while we do all the work. I know we are supposed to respect our elders, and I also know that you are the ones who are in charge of teaching us what respect looks like. Well, dear boomers, you have failed miserably. Because of you, we can't own homes. We cannot afford health care. We can't save for retirement or even educate our own kids. Because of you, we are constantly at the brink of civil war while constantly in foreign wars that we have no business being in. There are too many of you hanging on to power with your gnarled fingers and expensive plastic faces. There are too many of you to outvote. It's time you actually stepped up and did the decent thing. It's time to retire, boomers. You've built your wealth on our backs. Now revel in your spoils. Sit down, shut up, and enjoy your retirement because thanks to you, we don't get one.
That, of all the ginger snaps you've done, is probably your all-time masterpiece.
Yeah, most of that was delivered in the middle of a restaurant.
Yes, we said she started
that.
going on about it. It's like you might want to write it down.
Write that down.
So yeah, we were eating pupusas.
Yeah, pupusas. I don't know what the pupusas got me started off on, but I'm just so sick of this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I probably will formally record that and hopefully not stutter over my teeth so much.
Okay, so let me ask you something.
All right. Now I know Chuck's going to very, very
Chuck
gently touch on
is going to
this.
touch on this. I don't share quite the viewpoint that he has. I mean,
This is a little closer to home for you.
Closer to home for me. I am not, to start off with, a member of the SAG-AFTRA union. Although I have friends who are, and if you listen to us long enough, you may think that we are anti-union. Listen, as an actor, I've probably made less than $5,000 my entire life.
Nah, you've made more than that.
You think?
You made more than that in 1 year when you were on stage in Vegas.
Yeah.
We had to pay taxes and everything.
Okay, well, the point is, you're not going, unless you are the level of, say, a Tom Hanks or Meryl Streep or whatever, or Tom Cruise, you're not going to make a lot of money. The vast majority of people in the union are the bit players you see from time to time on TV or in the movies,
I love how I'm like spitting hellfire into the mic and you're like, hey,
I'm
guys.
building up,
Oh,
love.
Okay. Oh, all right. Do you want me to play the build up and snap?
No, no, because I don't know when I'm going to snap.
Okay.
I didn't write mine out.
I'm going to go get a beer. You build up.
Did you know that the head of Warner Brothers Discovery, his pay last year was $39 million.
Good
However, back when he was with Discovery, before it merged with Warner Media to become Warner Brothers Discovery, his pay package was $246 million.
Nice.
Bob Iger, the head of Disney, which owns the Walt Disney Studios, 20th Century Studios, Pixar, ABC Television and Radio, and on and on and on. His was, I think, $36 million last year.
But aren't
And
the ones
these-
who make all the money?
They're the ones who make the money. They're not the one who make the movies and the TV shows. They go to their rich little colleges. They get their connections. They come to Hollywood. Maybe one or two of them have worked in movies, but most of them, they're just money men. And yes, men. There are some women as well. But if we're talking about Warner's, Disney, Sony, all the big multimedia conglomerates, oh, and yeah, Paramount Group too, CBS and the like. These guys make insane amounts of money. And in the light of all of that, Mr. Iger said, this Hollywood strike is unrealistic. Not much, and then, by the way, like I said, I think the average actor in SAG makes $26,000 a year. That's like
Peanuts.
That's peanuts. It's minimum wage, basically. We do this because we love our work, but it just makes me insane. You want to know what really set me off about this? One of the proposals of these ass clowns at the, I forget what it's called, but it's the film, it's the representative of all the film companies as opposed to the WGA, who represents writers, and then SAG-AFTRA. American Motion Picture Association, I think it's called. They want to use artificial intelligence. I needed to say it out loud because Kamala Harris had to explain it to people, and apparently we're stupid and don't know what AI is. Anyway, AI, they want to use that to take the likeness of background actors like myself and then just use it in perpetuity without compensating me or any of my friends one damned penny. They also want to do this to everyday actors. You know, the ones in movies, even the stars, they want to do this. They have not made allowances for streaming services, which have disrupted the entertainment economy in a major way. There's been no allowances for any changes for that. You may think I'm anti-union. You would be dead freaking wrong. There is a time to stand up against, and I'm not against these executives taking home a decent share for their hard work. Then they work hard, if they've earned it. You have the number one movie of the year, yeah, take home a few extra bucks. Great. But not 27 million while the rest of us are like barely squeaking by.
Well, I remember being an extra in a film, and I mean, we were there 12 to 14 hours, and they fed us pretzels.
I know.
It was awful.
Now, that's another reason to support the union, because the people in the union weren't stuck with pretzels. I'm just going to leave it at that. You join these unions, it means you are serious about the work you do. Yes, some unions, the really big ones, are run by people just as corrupt as any politician.
Like the teachers' union.
Yes, there are unions that are run like businesses and serve the needs of the people at the top rather than the everyday. I'm not even going to debate that. That's the truth. But when it comes to professions like mine, it's ridiculous. I'm not asking to make $47,000 for one day's work on a film. I think the most I got paid for one day's work on a film was like $300. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
I just don't, and it was a SAG movie, even though I'm not a member. I'd like to be, but it's like jumping through 57 flaming hoops. I think I did enough time on Mall Cop 2. I wasn't in it. That was a horrible movie. But it was fun.
That was my experience.
Yeah.
They treated us so poorly. They were so awful to us that Kevin James actually had to get them to stand down.
Well, the thing is, there's
he
one company.
I have to hand it to him. He actually stepped in and said, "Stop treating these people like that."
Well, I walked by him one time. It was just him.
He's a little bitty guy. I had no idea. I thought he was like bigger and life. He's a little bitty guy.
He's a little bitty guy. But I was taking a break. I was in one of the lobbies in the area where they're filming the movie, and I'm filling up a glass of water, and there's Kevin James sitting on the opposite end of the room by himself, having this look on his face like, what in the crap did I get myself into? I left him alone because, first of all, that's courtesy. You don't go up in somebody's face. But it's like, I feel you, man. I mean, the movie, it was potentially funny, but it was awful. Not the point. The point is, there were a lot of people, and the people who mistreated us, they're the only game in town in Vegas. Mm-hmm. You do a film in Vegas, this group, and I made friends with some of the people there, but there were...
Yeah, I'm not saying they were all like that, but most of them were just awful.
But people who really, the people at the top were like...
They want you to do a scene over and over again with no water.
I know.
And it's, it was 112
and
degrees out.
Oh, by the way, yeah, Las Vegas, hello.
Yeah, outside in the sun, 112 degrees, and we're supposed to be at a mini Kiss concert.
Yeah.
By the way, the entire scene got cut.
Yeah, there was just one scene with him in an elevator with mini Kiss. Don't waste your time watching it.
We were there from like 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
They fed us pretzels.
I mean, we got lunch, but...
Well, you guys did. We didn't. You were at that one.
Oh. Anyway, it was... It's absolutely unfair.
Oh, well,
this just shows that...
They fed us pretzels, but they did it in shifts. And by the time I got to them, all there was spinning bowls of salt. So some of us didn't get anything at all. Nothing. For 14 hours.
It wasn't. It was a very expensive endeavor, but it didn't come out real well. My point is, you have these guys, and I mean, at the risk of sounding socialistic, sometimes you need to take a stand against corporate greed.
So
This is beyond.
are they partnering with the writers? I mean, is
Yes.
this what they're trying to do to the writers as well?
Yeah, they're not getting residual. I mean, I don't know as much about the Writers Guild as the WGA as I do about SAG, because I'm more of an actor than a writer in the professional sense.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do more writing now. Welcome to Texas. Anyway, the it's okay.
I bought your boots. Shut up.
You bought me boots. I got boots. I'm a Texan. Yeehaw. But the absolute gall of these executives and the group that represents them.
How can we cut corners and
I mean,
save
yeah,
money?
their job is to maximize profits for the shareholders.
And I don't have
get
to
that.
worry about diversity. I don't have to worry about lawsuits. I don't have to worry about feeding anybody. I mean, I totally get where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But is there a market for that, though? Do you think that people will go to movies that are written by robots and CGI
I have a
clone stamping?
Melanie and I
people?
share a friend. I love him deeply, but he's of the very cynical mindset that it's all going to be AI in a few years anyway. I refuse to believe that. I think if you come up with quality entertainment, I'll give you a few examples. Sound of Freedom. If you put on good TV shows, and there's still a place for well-made movies. They don't have to be made in Hollywood. I mean, most of the best stuff right now isn't even coming from Hollywood. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I want to see the new Indiana Jones movie. I love indie movies. I love big, splashy, like Guardians of the Galaxy. That kind of stuff. I love watching those kinds of movies. But those take real work. I mean, yeah, you can use computers and AI to make things run more smoothly, or to create special effects and enhance them. Yeah, I have no problem with that. But actually replacing the creative minds and bodies and souls that go into doing these things and have done so for 150 years now?
Well, I mean, what we're seeing right now, outside of a couple of the movies that you just mentioned, all we're seeing are remixes and remakes anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Chuck was
Chuck
about.
Chuck might be alluding to that in the upcoming
because it's
segment.
Like, okay,
but
you took Star Wars and ruined it. You trashed the entire franchise.
Mhm.
You're doing the same thing with Marvel. It's like lather, rinse, repeat. Let's do a prequel,
plus
let's do a postquel, now we're
they've done
doing
the
it to
same
Indiana
thing
Jones.
with Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, Batman you can't really harm too much because he's just a total badass. But
they'll make him gay and black and whatever.
yeah, they did that with Superman.
And
They made
if
one
there's
version.
a ginger, God forbid, there's a ginger. They'll replace her with the black woman.
She's taking
every
Disney very personally about the Little Mermaid thing. By the way,
the Little Mermaid. They did it with Mary Sue and is it Mary Sue in Spider-Man?
Mhm.
They
Mary
did,
Jane.
Whatever. They did it with.
Who, by the way, is the hottest girl in comics.
Now she's a black dude.
Wow.
Every single ginger. The only one they have not replaced yet is Merida from Brave.
That's only because Brave is still a relatively recent movie.
Yeah,
and
I'm
your
sure
mother's
it's
a
coming.
bear.
I'm sure she'll not only not be Scottish, but she'll probably be like Hindu and
Hindu and
whatever.
bisexual, right? Okay.
Oh, me mother's a bear. Would you be liking a bear with that? God, I'm so gonna get fired. Okay, so
My mother's a bear. Would you like it to extend your car's warranty? Anyway, why am I being a racist all of a sudden?
I
Stop
don't
that
know.
nonsense.
Stop that. Well,
Stop
because you're
that.
talking about Hollywood, like the most racist.
Yeah, first of all, they're serving us pap. By and large, it's just garbage, which they're not. And see, that's where I think that's where Chuck might be coming from, because even though there are still creative minds lurking about, a lot of this is ordered by executives. I think it's.
So tell me, Jim.
Yes, love.
If they're serving us pap, and you're smearing it, I'm
Sorry.
And thus ends the discussion.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Okay, sorry.
No,
Carry on.
no, that is actually a good way to end it. I didn't write it out, so I don't have a strong ending. But I will say this: fully support SAG-AFTRA, whether I ever become a member or not, and I want to. This is the first time. This is the first time that SAG and WGA have been on strike together in 60 years.
Yeah. And my understanding, if I read this correctly, Reagan was the president.
Yes, he was.
Of SAG.
He
the
was.
First time.
The current president, who's a Spitfire, she goes by the name of Fran Drescher.
I love her. I love her.
Yeah, she's the president, and she is not taking crap
idea.
from any of those guys.
Well, maybe she'll be the next president. She sounds better than Kamala, and
Well, just as nasal anyway.
yeah. But does she like Venn diagrams? That's the big question. Well, believe it or not, we are well past the first hour. I say, well, we both had our rant, so let's let Chuck do his thing.
There we go.
Did I put Chuck in here? Hello, Chuck. There he is.
And now CCW News presents Holy Crap, This Is Actually Happening! 90 Seconds to Midnight Edition, July 17, 2023. I'm Chuck U. Farley. The big news this week is that Hollywood actors have joined the writer's strike that everyone else forgot about. Their main beef is that artificial intelligence may very well take over all their jobs, as Hollywood does not contain any real intelligence. The artificial artists at Apple, Netflix, Disney, and other government-supported megacorps don't understand why real artists don't want their work and likenesses copy and pasted for free, because there are definitely thousands more completely fresh remakes with race and gender swaps that only real humans can create. In less important news that even fewer people care about, or not enough to actually report on anyway, King Brandon quietly bypassed Congress and executive-ordered World War III, starting with mobilizing another 3,000 U.S. troops to help in Ukraine, bringing the total up to over 100,000. No, I am not making up that number. After his former boss handed over Crimea, Biden has since been champing at the bit to go to war with old Rootin' Tootin' Putin, and he's not about to let this juicy chance go by. While stumbling and mumbling through his speech welcoming new NATO member Finland, Biden continued to poke the Russian bear by publicly kissing up to Zelensky and vociferously supporting fast-tracking Ukraine's membership into NATO as soon as either peace or global annihilation is achieved, whichever comes first. Speaking of juicy opportunities, Israel professor and think tank leader Dr. Gal Luft had to go into hiding in 2019 after turning over massive amounts of evidence to U.S. authorities that the Biden family not only received bribes from, but were heavily involved with the Chinese military. Now that he has agreed to testify to the House Oversight Committee, lefties say that his allegations of Biden's treasonous actions in China are totally debunked because Biden's Department of Justice immediately indicted the whistleblower for being a Chinese spy. Continuing on the topic of misplaced justice, Ray Epps, the obvious Fed who, on video, ordered people to invade the Capitol both on January 5th and 6th, and is literally the only person who wasn't called an insurrectionist by the lapdog press, is suing Fox News. Why, you ask? While many of the lost boomers and grannies who wandered through open doors into their own capital are still rotting in prison, Epps is finally facing possible charges for his crimes. Since he got away with it for so long, it's obviously Tucker Carlson's fault. San Francisco's Bay Area Rapid Transit System has announced that since the entire state of California views crime as a tourist attraction, it will no longer release surveillance footage of violent crimes committed on public transportation. And not just because the wholly corrupt court system wouldn't do anything with the evidence anyway. According to the organization's spokesclown, and yes, this is an actual quote that I swear I am not making up, quote, "To release these videos would create a high level of racially insensitive commentary toward the district, and in addition, it would create a racial bias in the riders against minorities on the trains." End quote. Any sane person knows that it is ridiculous to discriminate based on a person's race, as only their character and humanity should be taken into account, so experts suggest just avoiding California as a whole. The city of Evanston, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, has begun paying $25,000 reparations to each of the 140 eligible black residents. Nearly all the recipients have said they will use the money to get the hell out of Illinois. Vice Diversity Installation Kamala Harris tried to make her boss look better by chiming in with more gaffes than even he mustered this week. In an epic Freudian slip, she said that we must reduce population to fight climate change, then laughed maniacally. Since her hyena-like outbursts are normal, it's still up to debate as to whether she really meant it. Perhaps she'll explain it more clearly in a Venn diagram. For CCW News, this has been Holy Crap, This Is Actually Happening. I'm Chuck U. Farley. Good night, and may God help us.
Yeah, I get it. Your parents were jerks and you're traumatized. But that doesn't mean you should use your lousy childhood as an excuse to be a lousy adult. Stop being such a whiner and get past your past already. Buy Get Over It and Get Started, the book by Melanie Hope that will get you out of your self-imposed failure and on the road to greatness. Available in paperback, Kindle, and Nook.
There are times in your life when a normal beer just won't do. You want a beer with body. You want a beer with volume. You want a beer with a unique flavor all its own. That's when it's time to crack open an ice-cold bottle of Flint Water. Flint Water Lager is made with the finest municipal water Michigan has to offer. Brewed with the best grains you could purchase in bulk from the outlet store and aged in casks made from abandoned pallets from our world-famous shuttered car factories. One sip of Flint Water and you'll know it's the best beer you'll ever taste. It may also be the last beer you'll ever taste, and in that case, why not go out with the very best? Flint Water Beer, the brew for you. Flint Water Brewing Company, Flint, Michigan. Don't drink responsibly, drink Flint Water.
In a world where the landscape is darkened by freedom, there is only one hope for humanity: Antifa. In a time where free speech threatens to end life as we know it, there is only one hope for humanity: Antifa. In a country where Easter worshippers unite to tear apart our very social fabric, there is only one hope for humanity: Antifa. Tonight, on the Warner Universal Disney Fox network, the continuing story of the world's greatest force for peace and justice, Antifa, starring Tab Rockenfeld as Captain Bart Bikelock.
Quick, Black Hood, check out the image on the re-screen. No time to lose. Antifa Force, assemble!
Also starring Ginger Lake as Barbara Black Hood.
Oh no, Captain, it can't be. A group of men sitting peacefully in a circle and praying. What are they trying to do to our fair city?
Featuring Steve Marcel as Kirby Skater Boy, Mario Spinetti as Perpetual College Student, John or Jane Doe as Gender Ambiguous Person, Melinda Jones as Pissed Off Lesbian Girl, and Raphael Smith as a closeted violent psychopathic man. Tonight's special guest, Max von Riegelbieser as the mainstream media enabler.
In all my years behind this desk, I have never seen such awful days as this. Despite the best efforts of our educational system and our elected officials, forces more evil than Chihuahua breeders have discovered the dark power of the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. They are practicing the witchcraft of thinking for themselves. Even worse, right this very minute, people are doing actual research and reporting things on their own rather than blindly trusting us. Oh, where has this once great nation gone? Antifa, save us!
Tune in tonight at 9 p.m. for Antifa, and catch back episodes on demand at msnbcnnbcbsnbcondemand.com.
Leaders, listen up. Do you feel like you can't get a dang thing done because of all the namsy-pamsy crybabies that want you to coddle their creativity? When you give orders, are you met with vacant stares only rivaled by a cocker spaniel? It's not them. It's you. You need to shape up or they'll ship you out. Read The Sniper's Guide to Leadership, and you'll become a more effective leader, communicator, and motivator. Forget SMART goals and learn SWIFT goals. Get The Sniper's Guide to Leadership in paperback, Kindle, and Nook. Today!
Hello, my name is... what do you care? Anyway, my people have had years and years of persecution. We've complained about it ever since Moses brought us out of the wilderness. So what do you all do? You now pay absolutely no attention to us at all anymore. Women's March this, Black Lives that. What are we, chopped liver? It's time we stood up and started complaining again. We have developed the very weapon that will help us reclaim our rightful place of kvetching in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Mazel Tov cocktail. Handcrafted from the finest kosher beer bottles, filled with the tears of our ancestors that burn hotter than the Arab sun, and wicked by our own rendered garments, the Mazel Tov cocktail is guaranteed to splatter and spread millennia's worth of oppressed rage and guilt, so you'll know for certain you are doing God's wake. Use the best, forget the rest, the number one bomb for civil unrest, made exclusively by the world's oppressed, Mazel Tov.
May cause itching, burning, stinging, sores, zits, hives, freckles, cancer, and Karen Collins. Not for use by plebs, noobs, cucks, simps, fascists, do-nothing weaklings, and especially Antifa, because they are all of those things. Most effective at night after curfew. Mazel Tov is not responsible for any breakages, slippage, mishandling, jail time, or insurance claims. Hi, everybody. This is Fritzina Fluffybottom. Did you know that we have a Subscribe Star? We do! There are lots of fabulous extra things on there that you can't get anywhere else, like outtakes, new books, and extra videos. And you can sign up for as little as $1. Our entire show is funded by you, our loyal viewers. Please make sure you sign up today so that Mommy and Daddy can get me shiny new bells for my collar, extra feathery toys, yummy crumbly cat food bowls made just for kitty cats, more cow pillows for my couch, name brand albacore tuna, my own pink newscast.
Now, see, that's why we can't have nice things.
All right. Here's a story about a kitty.
Yeah,
Normally
the
this...
story started as a weird and wonderful, but then it took a dark turn.
Oh, my. For the past 5 years, visitors to a Publix grocery store in Fort Walton Beach, Florida cat, have been met by a special greeter, a brown and red-tinged feline named Pickles. Pickles, for many, has become the unofficial mascot for the area surrounding the store, with employees taking care of her on a regular basis. But the feline recently became the center of a social media firestorm that was created when it was announced that she was taken from the area. Although she is now safe, citizens in Fort Walton Beach who have taken care of her are now wondering whether she will be safe to return to the nest she has made for herself. It all started June 30th when a couple came to the area on vacation from Louisiana. During their trip to Florida's Emerald Coast, the couple went to Publix and saw Pickles lying on her side. Then they then took her, gave her water and a bath, and planned to take her to a cat sanctuary where Pickles could live the rest of her 9 lives in peace. But the next day, the community erupted on social media with hundreds of comments on both of Pickles' Facebook fan pages. The cat has two... Two of all right. In total, about 4,000 people were interested in Pickles' whereabouts. I got a frantic message Friday morning, said 99 Rock host and Pickles fan Kevin McKay. It was a shock that anyone would take her from her home. That's our cat. She may be a stray, but she's our stray, said Betty Tarbuck on Facebook. Also, at one point, a community member offered a $500 reward for Pickles' safe return. On July 2nd, after the significant show of support from the online community, A post on one of the Pickles fan pages on Facebook said the couple who had taken Pickles would return her to the local area. The fan page has also announced that Dr. Heather Hartley of the Companion Animal Hospital and Boarding Center in Fort Walton Beach is temporarily housing the cat for a medical checkup.
Okay, so everything, is coming back to normal. Pickles is coming home. It sounds like she's well cared for, but...
Pickles is doing great, Hartley said. Her blood work came back perfect, and she appears in good health besides being overweight.
So she's overweight.
Yeah, she's a plump kitty.
Yes.
From all the grocery store food that she was
That
fed.
makes sense, yes.
Hartley also started a fundraiser on GoFundMe and raised $1,720. Yeah, there was a $1,000 goal, so it exceeded it. This page has been up regarding the care of Publix Pickles, the GoFundMe post said. Many individuals have reached out wanting to donate towards her care and any other Pickles awareness media signs that we get approval for. I was planning to cover the cost myself and will cover everything that isn't covered. Any money that is donated above and beyond her needs will be used to start a Fort Walton Beach Stray Cat Community Fund.
I love it.
With Pickles being the face of the fund and story, we often have stray cats come in and need medical care, and this will cover those costs. We will create an additional FB page to keep the community...
So now she'll have a third Facebook page.
Jeez. She really gets around that, Pickles.
Yeah, that Pickles.
We will be very transparent regarding Pickles' care and cost. We want the community's support in helping Pickles and her feline friends.
That sounds great. I mean, this is helping other kitty cats as well. But
the original plan for Pickles was to keep her at the hospital until after the 4th of July celebrations had concluded, which makes sense. But after some vitriolic comments were made on social media that seemed to threaten Pickles' well-being, Hartley and her caretakers at Publix are hesitant to return her to the Publix that she made her home.
So social media has gone to a point where we have kitty cat death threats now? I mean, really, people?
Get a life. With all the
Really?
publicity, we're questioning if she should return, Hartley said. The risk of her being taken or harmed is high, and the caretakers of her collaborating on this to determine what her future holds and where she will live.
So now the poor thing is stuck at a vet's clinic, probably in a kennel.
Instead of in front of the grocery store where she's
beloved and has a little nest and is fed so much that she's fat. And come on, people. Seriously.
And now, Big Bright City, gonna set my soul, gonna set my soul
old
on
stomping
fire.
Grounds.
Yeah.
All right, so this video, it is on. We archive all of our links. So if you want to actually see the video, you have to go to the original link, which is part of the archive. But it's a good one. It's a good one. I highly recommend going to CounterCultureWISE.com to see the video. At least 4 women were involved in a wild caught-on-camera brawl near a set of poker tables at a luxury Las Vegas hotel over the weekend. One woman was even pulled from a motorized scooter inside Encore at Wynn Las Vegas as a security guard and a bystander tried to break up the massive fight on Sunday evening. The video starts rolling mid-fight when 2 women, one in jean shorts and the other in a 2-piece dress with her thong exposed, struggling on the ground as they duke it out. A man in a Nike t-shirt rushes in to hold off a woman dressed in cream sweatpants from joining the fracas, and then he attempts to break up the scrum on the floor of the fancy hotel. The whole purpose I put the story in here is because his play-by-play is brilliant. But as he turns his attention to the 2 brawling women, the woman in sweats lunges for another woman standing nearby and appears to throw a haymaker, the footage shows. The man is quickly able to grab 2 of the women, the ones in the 2-piece jean shorts, and separates them from the other 2 as he pushes them against a wall. He then fends off the one woman in the white top from reaching those 2 women as he attempts to keep the peace. But they really aren't wearing much. They are really not. Oh my God, she ends up with no clothes on at all. Get back, he can be heard saying as another bystander taking the wild action quips. Damn. In more footage of violent back and forth, the woman in the dress attempts to drag the woman in cream sweatpants off a motorized scooter before a security guard and the man in Nike interjects. Damn, another spectator can be heard saying. Crazy. Other footage of the incident from another angle shows part of the brawling taking place right next to rows of Wynn poker tables as players tried to keep their focus next to the commotion. Surprisingly, the Las Vegas Metro Police Department told the Post no arrests were made, but at least 1 citation was issued. It's unclear how many were given out. Now, the woman in the miniskirt and thong, like, her skirt ends up like around her waist. She's like ends up with nothing on. It's crazy.
Let's go down the street.
Down the street we go.
A New York man, who else, was arrested for allegedly running around the strip naked before interrupting a poker game by
Okay, so
gyrating.
the women were scantily clad, but this guy just got nothing.
Yeah. I got nothing. Okay, running around the Las Vegas Strip naked before interrupting a poker game by gyrating and picking a fight with a one-legged man, according to authorities.
Was it an ass-kicking contest?
It would appear so. Brian Danilchik, 35, faces charges of disorderly conduct, battery, and 5 counts of indecent exposure since his arrest Sunday.
Do we know why he was naked?
I don't know yet. He has since been released from jail. According to the Metro Police Department, officers were dispatched at around 11:22 p.m. for a reported fight at the Flamingo near the Bird Bar.
Love the Flamingo.
Love the Bird Bar. Police learned a man later identified as Danilchik had attacked Citizen A, who had one leg. If he had both of them, he would have been Citizen B.
No.
According to police, Danilchik then ran off northbound to the Link, the report states. The Link is a retail and amusement area adjacent to the Flamingo, for those who don't know. Danilchik was not known to Citizen A, and he declined to press charges. Danilchik was later detained at Harrah's. Wow, he got around by security. And police arrived to verify if he was the same man they were looking for in regard to the assault on the one-legged man.
Now, see, they missed. He was not known to Citizen A, and even though he declined to press charges, he was hopping mad. We need to have a little bit more fun with our story.
It's Fox 5. They're not going to have fun. Police believe it was. Danilchik was seen by security in CCTV footage removing his clothing at the Link. He ran completely naked.
Out who shot up people October 1st.
I was going to say it because I knew you would.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, anyway.
He ran completely.
Danilchik was seen by security removing his clothing at the Link. He ran completely naked through to Harrah's, so Harrah's is next
outside.
to. Yeah, she's outside the Link.
Outside.
Running around naked outside.
Why?
Danilchik had climbed atop a poker table game, flaunted his genitals to all past, exposing his parts of. Danilchik was then. Danilchik then transitioned to a position where he exposed his butt for all who passed on the main floor. The report continues. Security stepped in, undoubtedly wearing gloves, and wrestled Danilchik off the table, scattering chips and cards before he was taken to a secure room. When questioned by police, Danilchik did not recall the encounter, but was lucid and cooperative, but appeared to be in an altered mental state. So,
I'm gonna need sanitation at table 5. Can we get the hazmat team?
Here, everybody, here's some extra chips. Please forget this ever happened. I mean, honestly. Yeah. Yike.
All right. I thought we read this one before.
I don't know if we have.
Well, apparently, a helicopter pilot.
Wait, yes, we did.
We did read
we
this
did
one.
Read that
I could have
one.
sworn we read this one. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna skip that one. And
this is just. There's kicking a man when he's down, and then there's kicking a man when he's dead. So.
Yeah, it looks like a piece of work. A Tennessee woman is facing several charges after surveillance footage seems to have shown that she robbed a man as he lay dying in his driveway.
Jeez.
It's a zombie apocalypse, I swear. At around 8 a.m. on Sunday, Memphis police received a phone call about a man who had seemingly collapsed outside his residence in the southeastern part of town. When they arrived, they found the lifeless body of one of their own. Mark LaSure was a 57-year-old retired homicide detective. He was young, who had spent decades on the force. He was pronounced dead at the scene, and reports later indicated that he died of a heart attack. When investigators examined footage captured on a nearby security camera, they found that a woman had been with LaSure at around the time of his death. The woman, later identified as Shante Daniels, arrived at the residence with LaSure and the two had begun arguing. Daniels later told the police that she had demanded gas money from LaSure, who went inside his house and grabbed $10. When he went back outside, he suffered a heart attack and collapsed to the ground. Why was she demanding gas money? Daniels then allegedly seized the opportunity to take more than just gas money. According to police, she went into LaSure's home and stole his cell phone and wallet.
Oh my God.
What a douche nozzle. She then went back outside and supposedly rifled through his pockets. Is it rifled or riffled?
I think it's rifled.
I've always said rifled, yeah. She ultimately took the $10 in gas money he had been holding in his hand, and which had been falling to the ground. After she left the property, Daniels reportedly used LaSure's phone to send herself about $1,500 in cash, transferring the money in $200 increments.
If she'd only used her awesome, stupid powers for good.
On the surveillance footage, Daniels can also be seen making a call on her cell phone, and 911 dispatchers did receive a call at the time in the area of LaSure's home. The call was later traced to Daniels, though whether she was calling to report LaSure's medical emergency is unclear. The video reportedly recorded Daniels saying, "We are going to see who knows the law."
She doesn't.
We are going to see who knows the law. What a weird phone call. When asked what she did with LaSure's money, Daniels allegedly told police she spent it on shoes and visits to the nail and hair salon. Of course she did. And you're still friggin' ugly. Fugly.
Befugler.
She supposedly pocketed the rest. Daniels was arrested and charged with aggravated... You know what? You need to get refunds, lady, because they did not do a good job on you. That's an appropriate time to use the meow sounds, Jim.
I'm not using it anymore. I've retired the meow sound.
He supposedly pocketed the rest. Daniels was arrested and charged with aggravated
burglary. Burglin.
2 counts of theft of property and identity theft. She remains in custody in Shelby County and on a $100,000 bond. Really? Last year, Daniels was accused of shooting at a car full of kids parked outside a Taco Bell. The status of that case remains unknown. Well, she's certainly showing her character, so I'm sure that happened. LaSure spent most of his relatively short life serving his country and his community. He served 10 years in the U.S. Army as a military police officer. He then joined the Memphis Police Department in 1992 and eventually became a well-respected homicide detective. His life mattered. He had only recently retired. Last year, he weighed in on the viral video which seemed to show several Memphis officers beat Tyree Nichols to death. Human beings, man, that's what happened, LaSure told the New York Times. They let their emotions get the best of them, and there was no veteran officer there to stop them. Usually when vets are there, things go differently because we have that experience to say, I understand you're mad, but you've got to stop. You can't do this. It isn't right. Now, after his death, his friends and family remember LaSure as a dedicated police officer who wanted to mentor local youth. He had outreach ministries to young people in the community a few blocks away, said a neighbor. He also said his friend was an upstanding guy who served his community. LaSure's Aunt Rose LaSure Jones also called him one of the good guys. He was in the driveway when he got here lying face down, she recalled. Whatever it was, he didn't deserve this. He really didn't. He was a good guy, one of the good guys, really.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, and it's not clear how the two knew each other. Well, he probably had arrested her at some point, I'm sure. Yeah, he was one of the good guys. He has kind eyes. She
looks dead.
She does. She looks dead. She looks like a person who's completely dead inside. Shooting at children. What a piece of work. This is why we can't have nice things. All right. Wow, we've got lots of time left, so let's head on into the new normal.
This is not Bubba Walters. It is no longer 2020. But this is your new abnormal.
And secondly, the president invited his son Hunter to the state dinner last night. I'm wondering if you could take us into the thinking and decision-making of why the president decided to invite.
I'm just not going to get into family discussion, personal family discussion. as you know, Hunter is his son. I'm just not going to get into it.
Let me ask you this. If Hunter Biden wasn't the president's son, would he have invited someone who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors 2 days earlier?
A couple of things. Again, that's his son. He's a family member. It is not uncommon for family members to attend events at the White House. You could look at past presidents. I'm sure you have. So that is not uncommon. As it relates to anything related to Hunter, I'm just not going to respond to it from here.
Can I follow up on that?
No, I just called in somebody. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Kirby wouldn't answer James's question, though. Are you going to answer the question? I mean, it's not a reasonable question to ask whether the President of the United States was involved, as this message seems to suggest, in some sort of a coercive conversation for business dealings by his son. Is that something, if he wasn't, then maybe you should tell us?
So here's the thing, and I appreciate the question. I believe my colleague at the White House Counsel has answered this question already, has dealt with this, has made it very clear. I just don't have anything to share outside of what my colleagues have shared, and so I would refer you to him and the DOJ. Just not going to comment from here.
Text message
what I can tell you is I know that my colleague has dealt with this. He addressed this at the White House Counsel. I just don't have anything else to share. I just answered the question. I just answered the question.
No, you didn't. Yes or no? Was the president involved in the shakedown attempt?
Stephen, I just answered the question. It's not up to you how I answer the question. I just answered the question by telling you my colleagues at the White House Counsel has dealt with this, and I would refer you to them. Go ahead.
Can you just remind us what your colleague said from the White House Counsel so we have it?
I would refer you to them, and they will share their statement with all of you.
My question is about your statements from that podium. You've stated that the president stands by his comment from the 2020 campaign that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with his son. And you stood at that podium and you reaffirmed that. Do you stand by your reaffirmation?
What I will say is nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. And I will leave it there. Anything else, I will refer you to the White House Counsel.
This is not a change?
I just answered the question. You just asked me, does my statement change? I just told you nothing has changed. That's answering the question. Go ahead.
Go ahead. The president was there 2 days
Go ahead,
prior.
Stephen. I'm calling on your colleague right now. Go ahead.
Thank you. To follow up on my colleague, is there anything that you can say with regard to this text message and what the president's son was alleging? Was the president there or not?
I would refer you to my colleagues at the White House Counsel. They have addressed this, and I refer you to them. Go ahead.
Karine, have you spoken to the president about this? Have you asked him whether he was there with his son on July 30th?
This is not a conversation that I've had with the president. Again, I would refer you to the White House Counsel.
Do you plan to have that conversation with the president?
No.
Did the president speak with the attorney general at all last night?
I cannot say if the president had had a conversation with the attorney general last night. What I can refer you to is the White House Counsel's office as it relates to the allegations. They've already addressed this. This is something for them to deal with. I refer you to the Department of Justice on anything else if you don't want to speak to the White House Counsel's office.
And there was reporting earlier in the week that after the plea agreement was reached by Hunter Biden, that the president felt relieved that that part of it was behind him. Is that true? Can you speak
I can't
to
speak
his
to that. I cannot speak to the president's mindset. Again, I would refer you to the White House Counsel's office.
He's a grown man. He is the smartest man I know. I mean, in for the pure intellectual capacity.
Vagina.
You know, I understand that the press person for the president really, press secretary, that's the word I was looking for, thank you. They have a history of kind of stonewalling and kind of like massaging, spinning, and it's part of their job. They want to make their boss look as good as possible.
Right, that's literally their
but
job.
Standing there over and over the hill again going, I'm not going to answer that, and making every statement like a question, and la la la, and I'm not.
And she did the same thing with the cocaine. I'm just not going to answer that. I'm just not going to answer that. I'm just not going to address that. I'm just not going to address that. It's like, well, lady, what the hell are you going to address? You are so awful at your job. I
Good
mean,
thing she's cute. That's all there is to it.
And then there's diversity hires. I mean, good God. And
Yeah.
she's so condescending. She's such a snippy little witch.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought, Chucky was bad, but this one's way worse. 'Cause
No, I'm
the other
actually
one was
nostalgic for Jen Psaki.
Yeah,
That's how bad this broad
Jen
is.
Psaki, I mean,
seriously.
all she would do was circle back, but at least she kind of had a brain. This one's she's cute. She's
Yeah.
a freaking Cocker Spaniel. There is nothing going on between those ears. Nothing. And she can't answer even the simplest question. They flat out said, was that Hunter's Coke?
She could have
I'm
said
just not
no.
going to go into that. I'm just not going to go into that. Isn't that just basically saying, yes, it was?
That's exactly what she's doing.
The
and
fact that they just couldn't figure out who it was, and in a place more surveilled than Las Vegas, and they're like, golly, I just don't have. He wasn't even there, and she lied about that. She said he wasn't. They weren't there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. They left Friday night, so they were there Thursday and Friday. So she even lied. And what's really funny is she's the one 2 days before who said they left Friday night. Then she's caught 2 days later saying, they weren't even there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So she's not even a good liar. Even when she tries to pretend to do her job, she's not good at it. But for the most part, she doesn't even try. She doesn't even try to do her job. I'm not going to talk about it. Not going to talk about it. Not going to talk about it. Then what are you up there for? What are you up there for? You're useless.
pretty much.
She's just eye candy, and that's about it. But she's so condescending that it detracts from, her, what she looks like. All right, I'm glad you're reading this one because it's got the word burgle in it, which apparently I can't say. It's like
gurgle.
Linoleum.
I'm perfectly willing and able to say the word.
All right.
A Georgia mayor was charged with burglar.
You're so mean.
A Georgia mayor was charged with burglary and criminal trespassing Saturday, leading the way for him to be temporarily replaced by one of 5 city council members who sued him this year.
Wait, okay, so he was a mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, on you go.
Right outside of Atlanta, and all the politicians in
Hindu.
Atlanta are scum.
Yeah, they are.
They were back when I lived there. They are now.
Atlanta was awful. It was awful. I really looked forward to going there.
Mm-hmm.
I'd heard Georgia was beautiful.
Georgia is beautiful. Atlanta, if you go to the right neighborhoods, is beautiful.
Yeah, apparently I went to the wrong neighborhood. It was
No, you were
awful.
not in the right place.
I literally feared for my life.
Anyway,
The
a
entire
Georgia
time I
mayor
was
was charged with burglary and criminal trespassing Saturday, leading the way for him to be temporarily replaced by one of 5 city council members who sued him this year. Khalid Kamal.
Mm-hmm.
Khalid! The mayor of the city of South Fulton in metropolitan Atlanta was charged with criminal trespassing and first-degree burglary. He was released the same day on $1,000 in surety bonds.
$11,000.
He was also ordered
What's a
to
surety
undergo...
bond?
The who?
What's a surety bond?
How the hell would I know? He was also ordered... that wasn't the
You're
right
older
answer.
than me. I just assumed you knew everything.
It's just it's on
I'm just
bond.
not
I don't know
go
why...
into that. I'm sure that my colleague gave you the correct answer.
colleague
I'm not
at
gonna answer your question.
Merriam-Webster will give you the... No, it's just when they're being held on bond. It's just, I don't know why they threw in the word surety. It's just to throw people off. It's the same thing.
So Dog the Bounty Hunter will come after you if you...
Bingo.
Okay.
He was also ordered to undergo a mental health evaluation. NBC affiliate WXIA 11 Alive of Atlanta reported. The police department forwarded a request for more information to the city's public affairs director, who declined to provide details Sunday, citing an ongoing investigation. The city of South Fulton is committed to upholding the law and ensuring that all individuals, regardless of their positions, are subject to the same fair and just treatment, said Jacqueline Howell, the interim director of public affairs. He looks like a Khalid Kamal. Mm-hmm. The city's public records... That was a mean thing to say, I guess. Mm-hmm. The city's public records office was asked... That's like looking at me and saying, yeah, he looks like Uncle Fester. The city's public records... It's the bags under my eyes that make me look like him, really, and the bald head. The city's public records office was asked for the incident
Great.
report
I
Sunday.
never thought that my husband looked like Uncle Fester, and now I can't unthink it. Thanks a lot.
Da-da-da-dum.
Yeah, but did Uncle Fester have mutton chops?
No, he didn't. An email... Okay, the city's public records office was asked for the incident report Sunday. An email to Kamau's official city email address and to his chief of staff was not immediately replied to Sunday. Kamau said on Saturday on Facebook that he was good and free.
Okay, there is a follow-up to this, though.
Okay, we'll get there.
So he was back in office a couple days later, but after breaking into their house and the homeowner comes after him with a gun, God bless them, he literally pulls out, "Do you know who the F I am?" So in other words, if you're a mayor with, certain amount of melanin, you can just bust into anybody's house any dang time you feel like it, and you're just supposed to pull rank on these people.
Ridiculous.
Literally says, "Do you know who the F I am? I'm the mayor, and I'll wait
Oh, by
for
the
the
way,
police to
let
get
me
here and see
follow
what
up what he
happens."
said in this article. He said, God is still using me. Stay tuned.
He's using you, all right.
Kamal also shared a Bible verse about those who are persecuted because of righteousness. You ain't righteous, Sonny.
No, you're literally the opposite of righteous. You are not a righteous dude.
Jesus.
What a jerk.
Amazing.
Breaks into somebody's house and then pulls out the, "Do you know who the F I am?" I'm going to add this to our collection. All right, so the next one I'm going to read, and it's going to be a little painful. I don't think it'll end up being a rant of any sort, but I know that you've actually been to Hiroshima.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have.
And
it was the most sobering experiences I've ever had in my life.
And
I never want to see that.
Oh.
I don't ever want to see anything remotely approaching that.
But we forget just how brutal Japan was during this war. And, we did what we had to do. I'm not condoning it. I'm not supporting it. It was awful. But the war also never would have ended. They would have kept fighting. I mean, these are people that were willing to fly their planes into ships, and keep on fighting. So this is a pretty tough story. And it's written in a story like, it's not just like a news story, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it, and most of it. As Pilar Gulang limps with her walking stick into a room full of fellow octogenarian women in a sleepy Philippine town, and we have an unusually large amount of Philippine friends, and my grandpa was a Filipino, so there's a little bit of personal involvement here. She suddenly struggles to remember why she is wearing her favorite floral dress. The 88-year-old glances at her sister-in-law, Maria Kulatang. It's a cue to refresh her memory. The two women are in yet another gathering of former World War II sex slaves, the so-called comfort women, who were forced into military brothels in South Korea, Philippines, Taiwan, China, and Indonesia by the Japanese Imperial Army. The little island gets around. The 20 or so women in the farming village of, you might have to help me with some of these, Mapanaquay,
I think.
Mapanaquay, are among the last survivors in the Philippines. As young teens, they were snatched from their homes, dragged on dusty roads, and imprisoned in a blood-red house where they were raped repeatedly. Ooh, I said the R word, that just got us booted off the screw tube. Now in their late 80s to early 90s, they continue to fight for public apology and compensation from Japan, both of which have eluded them for decades. Japan, you need to frickin' apologize. They recount their trauma to those willing to listen, hoping that they will not be forgotten by the world, even as their own memories fade. And with the movie that we talked about last week, I think, this is something that's been going on a long, long time. There were nearly 200,000 of them, mostly Koreans. In South Korea, their numbers have now dwindled to 9. The last known survivor in Taiwan died in May. Japan's refusal to confront its wartime past and pay reparations has been a source of tension with its neighbors. In a 1951 peace treaty with Japan, the Philippines agreed to waive claims for wartime reparations. although the former sex slaves say they will not recognize this. The Philippines, whose top source of developmental aid is Japan, has been reluctant to push Tokyo. We hope to get justice before we died, says Miss Huantang, the group leader and the most outspoken among them. There's only a few of us left, and we are all in our twilight
She
years.
has the look on her face of a woman who takes crap from absolutely nobody.
She took a lot.
Because she took too much to begin with.
Yeah. On a sweltering afternoon, the group, which calls themselves Malaya Lolas, or Free Grandmothers, in Filipino, that's darling, gathered as they have for decades to sing their story in a slow a cappella verse. We cried, we pleaded for a little compassion. Their bestial hearts only craved satisfaction. At the age of 14, I was poisoned. The Malaya Lolas sing. Miss Kulantang cracks jokes to put her fellow grandmothers at ease. Singing before an audience is no different from karaoke, she tells them. There's no anxiety that chewing on a betel nut cannot soothe. Then Miss Kulantang turns serious. She was 8 when she was raped in that red house in the middle of a rice field. Up to this day, she gets flashbacks when she sees that house from across the highway. It's still there? Why hasn't it been torn down? Dilapidated, it still stands, now attracting ghost hunters and historians. No, that thing needs to be burned. So many crumbling World War II structures remain in the grandmother's village located in Candaba town, a 2-hour drive north of the capital, Manila, although it's known for duck eggs and tilapia farms rather than its dark wartime past. Miss Kulantang says far more mundane things also trigger flashbacks. When she sees soil drenched in rain, she remembers the time during her captivity when her only source of drinking water were the deep footprints of water buffaloes that plowed the rice fields. What we carry is quite a burden, she says. I had so many dreams when I was a kid. Miss Kulantang says the ordeal robbed her of her childhood, a good education, and a happy family life as her father died during the war. I could have worn nice clothes as a little girl. Instead, we were constantly moving from place to place, constantly fearing the Japanese. Yet she considers herself lucky because she got married to a farmer and raised a family. Many other Filipino comfort women suffered discrimination in their communities and within their own families, and I've heard about that too. They didn't have a choice. They were kidnapped, brutally used, and then when they, are released and go home, they're shunned by their family. I mean, as much as Maxima de la Cruz wanted to attend that afternoon's gathering, she couldn't because she is bedridden. At 94, she is among the oldest in the group. She watches the slow days in Menakwi town pass by from the window of her home. When she was much younger, she was among the Malaya Lola's most active campaigners. I've been to so many protests. I've been to Japan, Hong Kong, even Europe, she says. The lawyers who help us bring us to all these places. Everything is still clear to me, ingrained in my mind, even if my body is now weak. After the war, Miss de la Cruz says she was forced to work and was unable to go to school because she had to help out in her parents' farm. When she got married at 16, she remembered distinctly how the family... so imagine how young she was when they made her a sex slave.
Can't even.
She
Don't
remembered
want to think about
distinctly
it.
how the family shared one whole chicken instead of having a wedding feast. It would have been nice if Japan gave us a little something for our daily expenses, she said. Recalling their past is always cathartic for the Malaya Lolas, says their lawyer, Virginia Suarez. This is so liberating for them to tell their story in song. You can't stay quiet when you suffered what they went through. That will be additional torture. Japan has insisted that any attempt by the Philippine women to seek compensation must be backed by their government. The Malaya Lola's appeal to force the government to do so went as high up as the Supreme Court, but failed. Why?
Economics. They don't want to piss Japan off since Japan funds... It's like us and China. We don't want to upset China too much.
I'm
We go,
sick of China.
yeah, but that's what it is. It's just plain old economics.
Inconvenient private jet is over there right now.
Yeah, well.
They raised their case with the UN's Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, which in March this year ruled that Manila must compensate the grandmothers and apologize to them for decades of suffering and discrimination. This is a symbolic moment of victory for these victims who were previously silenced, ignored, written off, and erased from history in the Philippines, said CEDAW member Marian Bethel. Ms. Saraz, the Malaya Lola's lawyer, said government agencies have released thousands of pesos in aid to their clients since the CEDAW ruling, but she adds they will never stop campaigning for an apology from Japan. An apology is really important to the Lolos because it is an admission of wrongdoing, she says. Japan committed a very grave sin against them. The world should not forget that, and they should pay for that.
Forget about it. I didn't even know about it until tonight.
I know.
This is sickening.
That's why I'm sharing this entire story. For Miss Quinlan Tang, the fight will go on for as long as people will listen. We are a very close-knit group of friends, and we have many people helping us. We want justice. As long as people invite us, we will keep singing. There's actually several other related stories, so if you want to learn more about the Lolas, I recommend following our links. This comes from the BBC, so there's kind of an in-depth series on this. My heart just breaks for these women. I mean, their entire childhoods were ripped away from them brutally. And, come on, Japan, you're better than this. You've come a long way. I mean, for God's sake, we help you completely rebuild your dang country. The least you could do is say you're sorry. It wouldn't cost you anything. I'm sure the entire island of Japan right now is listening to me and thinking, yeah, we should. Maybe not.
You never know. There might be somebody from Japan listening. We're available worldwide. You never know.
You never know. Well, my prayers go out to those beautiful women. Well, believe it or not, we are at the end of our time. We have one more story, so let's listen to news of the Wonder Fuller. Here on CounterCultureWISE, we may rant, we may rave, but most of all, we go against the current culture because we believe, to the core of our beings, that humans are good and the world is an amazing and beautiful place. At the beginning of our show, we give you news of the weird and wonderful, but that is just the tip of the magnificent iceberg that is our world. We now present news of the Wonder Fuller.
Usually, I have a tendency to, come up with stories that make Melanie burst into tears, and I think this one's just a sweet story. I don't think she's going to get too emotional about that one. She will sneeze, though. Bless you, love. Anyway.
Too far away. We don't have it. Bip, bap, 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 splat. The whole thing, the whole station goes down.
Two teenagers who were high school sweethearts in the 1950s broke up after a few years and didn't see each other until a little over a year ago. Now Caroline Reeves and Eddie Lamb are newlyweds, sharing a love that is blossoming 63 years after they first met.
I sure hope theirs goes better than mine did.
The first one.
Yeah.
We feel young again, said Reeves, who turns 82 on Thursday. When you are in your 80s, you don't have...
Neither one of them look like they're in their 80s.
I know.
Okay, people in their 80s look a lot different now than people in their 80s did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Either that or I'm just looking in the mirror going, okay, oh, wow, 80, that doesn't seem so old.
Yeah. We feel young again. When you're in your 80s, you don't have to grow old, she said. We keep our minds going, and we're active, and we have fun and laugh and tease and cut up and just want to just live as long, the best life we can live. Back in 1956, Elvis was on the jukebox, and President Dwight D. Eisenhower was in the White House while Reeves and Lamb were in love, and there's a photo of the two of them.
Quintessential.
Holy moly, yeah, very, very 50s looking.
Blanket bingo.
Buzz cut, handsome young man and pretty young woman.
Pixie cut, yeah.
Yeah. Once I saw her, it was all over, said Lamb, who is now 85. Reeves thought he was the cutest boy on campus. The only meal he ever brought her back then was French fries and Coke, but it wasn't a fancy dinner she was looking for. She had her eyes on a high school class ring and all that it would signify. It was an engagement ring, she said, and I was the type of person that would have committed myself to him for the rest of my life with that ring. But she didn't get the ring, at least not then. Lamb had set his sights high, joining ROTC at University of Tennessee in Knoxville with dreams of flying planes in the U.S. Air Force. It was Reeves' senior year in high school, and he couldn't find the words to say a proper goodbye, so he didn't.
Ouch.
We pulled up in her driveway, and I said, "May I kiss you?" And so I kissed her goodnight, and then not knowing that it was the last time I would kiss her in 64 or 65 years. Reeves said he didn't follow up with, "Could I take you out? Could we go to a movie? Could I see you again before you leave?" I opened that car door and I got out of that car and ran up the steps and slammed the door and went upstairs and cried all night. She said that was it. Their lives then followed far different paths. She became Miss Nashville in 1959. Like I said, she was pretty.
Yeah, she was a hottie.
2 years later, in 1961, they got married to other people. Reeves married Charles Wallace and Lamb married Polly Piper. Lamb went on to serve 21 years flying KC-135s in the U.S. Air Force. Reeves traveled the world, was an interior designer, has been a magazine writer, and wrote 3 novels. So they both had very interesting lives.
For themselves.
In December of 2021, Lamb's wife, Polly, the mother of their 2 sons, died from ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. They'd been married 2 days shy of 60 years, and in Polly's final years, Lamb was her caretaker. It just shows you his strength and how sweet and kind and gentle this man is and always has been, Reeves said. After Reeves' marriage to Wallace ended in the 1980s, she married a man named George Kennedy, who died in 2001. Reeves said she wondered all the time over the course of her life how Lamb was, and Lamb still said he wondered too how Reeves was doing. In April 22, Lamb was living in California, Reeves was in Nashville. All at once, something hits me. I said, "I've got to call her," Lamb said. He tried 9 times before finally reaching her. After the second day, it was comfortable. It was natural. By the third day, that third night, he told me he still loved me, and I knew that my life had changed. And then the next morning, he calls and says, "I apologize for being so forward last night."
Well, they don't have a lot of time left, so go for it, kid.
But his confession of love was what Reeves wanted to hear, and he flew to Nashville to see her. This time she was in the driver's seat. When she went to pick him up, they didn't get too far from the airport at first. Wow. He peeked his head into my car, and he took my breath away, Reeves said. "I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. I just can't even explain it." So I got out of the parking lot, zoom, 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 went around and found the FedEx parking lot, and it was the warehouse. It was closed at night, and they had all these security lights, and I got out and jumped around, and we hugged and kissed, and I remember looking up at the security lights, and insects were swirling all around. "So FedEx does deliver," she said in a burst of laughter. After Lamb arrived in Nashville, he waited 5 days before asking her to move with him to California. 3 months later, at the age of 84, he popped the question. He had planned to give her his mother's ring, but Reeves said it was too precious and should be saved for one of his grandchildren. Instead, she wanted his high school class ring, and he put it on her finger. She called it miraculous that they found each other again, and we asked God all the time.
And they still had his class ring after all those years.
She called it miraculous that they found their love again, and we asked God all the time, "Why did you do this?" And now we know, to take care of each other, she said.
Oh, what a sweet story.
See, it didn't make you cry, but it did warm your itty bitty heart, didn't it?
Gave me all the warm fuzzies.
Aww.
Well, we had a great show.
I think we did.
I think we did okay.
Yeah.
No swearing.
Not much.
No throwing things.
Nah. I'm past all that throwing thing.
Both got to rant, so.
Which is one of the reasons I feel so good.
So sag off, boomers.
Ha
Well, folks, it's been a pleasure to join all those good things. Thank you for those in the chat hanging out with us. And, well, what do you say we do this again next week?
Okay.
Okay. We've got some more sketches coming up, some more fun things coming up, so stay tuned because we'll have some big announcements coming up. And check us out on Locals. We're just getting started over there, but pretty soon we're going to be building our own empire. So do come along with us, won't you, please? And we will see you next week.
Bye. CounterCultureWISE is a Stormcat production.
you for joining our growing family of listeners. All links from the show are available on our website, CounterCultureWISE.com. Find our archives on any of your favorite podcast hosts.
We engage in satire, commentary, and generally laugh at the ridiculousness of our crumbling society. Our only medical or financial advice is to not follow any financial or medical advice given by podcasters.
Our animations, interviews, Holy Crap segment, and other videos are put out on BitChute and Rumble, and only in part on YouTube because they hate free speech.
Our show is entirely funded by listeners like you. Visit our ever-expanding merch store or our Subscribe Star, where you can get outtakes, extra videos, and sneak peeks.
If you would like to be a guest on our program, feel free to contact us via our website. Just click on the link at the top that says, Be a Guest on Our Show.
For more fun and cat pics, please visit our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. For complaints about our show, please fill out the ID10T form on our website, and we will give it the attention it deserves.
Meanwhile, no matter how cruel the world may be around you, always remember the importance of kindness. Be kind to each other, be kind to animals, and be kind to yourself. See you next week.